You know, there's a specific face I guarantee you have seen before. I mean, if you've ever walked into a traditional Chinese restaurant or wandered through an antique shop or even just looked at a Lunar New Year calendar, you know exactly who I'm talking about.
I have a pretty strong hunch.
Yeah.
Are we talking about the gentleman with the, let's say, cranial dimensions that defy modern biology?
That is exactly the one. The old man with the impossibly high bulbous forehead that looks like it's trying to escape his head.
Yes.
He's usually got a long white beard, a staff that looks like a gnarled tree root, and he's holding a giant peach. And he always looks, well, he looks like he's just heard the funniest joke in the world.
That is him, Nan Ji Xian Weng.
Right. And to be honest, for years, I just filed him away in my brain as the good luck grandpa, you know? You put him on a shelf, he brings good vibes, end of story. He feels like a mascot.
I get that.
But looking at the stack of sources we've pulled for this deep dive, the astronomical data, the Taoist theological charts, and classic literature, I feel like I've been massively underestimating him.
Oh, completely. Calling him a mascot is a bit like calling the CEO of a Fortune 500 company a nice greeter just because he smiles at you in the lobby.
Oh, okay.
It misses the power dynamics entirely.
That is exactly what we're doing today. We are peeling back the caricature to find out who this guy actually is. Because the sources paint a picture of someone who isn't just a smiling statue.
Not at all.
We're talking about a figure with origins in ancient astronomy, a rank in Taoist theology, that is. I mean, it's mind-bogglingly high, and a role in mythology that's basically the universe's fixer.
Crisis manager is probably the most accurate job description. He is the guy you call when the other gods have made a mess.
So let's start at the very beginning, or I suppose let's start up. Because before he was an old man with a cane, he was an astronomical object.
That's right. Before the personification, there was the astronomy. To understand Nan Ji Xian Weng, you have to look up, specifically to the southern sky.
Okay.
His origins are tied to the Old Man Star, or the South Pole Star. In modern astronomy, we know this as Canopus.
Canopus. Okay. Now, I'm not an astronomer, but I know the North Star is famous for being, fixed. Is the South Pole Star the same deal?
Not exactly, especially not for the people who created these myths. Canopus is the second brightest star in the night sky, right after Sirius, so it's powerful.
Yeah.
But here's the catch, and this is crucial for the mythology. It is located very, very far south.
How far south are we talking?
Well, if you are in Beijing or the central plains of China, where a lot of this folklore solidified, Canopus barely peaks above the southern horizon.
Oh, wow.
It's incredibly elusive. It appears briefly, hugs the horizon line, and then dips back down.
So it's not like the North Star, which is just always there anchoring everything.
No. And that elusiveness is exactly what created the mystique, because it wasn't a constant. Seeing it became a major event.
A big deal.
A huge deal. The ancient astronomers viewed the sky as a mirror of the empire. So if this specific star, the Old Man Star, appeared clearly and brightly, it was interpreted as a massive omen.
An omen of what?
Stability. Peace. The historical texts are quite specific. They say, if the star appears, the world is at peace.
Huh?
If it shines brightly, the harvest will be bountiful, and the people will live long lives.
Wow. That is high stakes for one star.
It gets better. The flip side is terrifying. The belief was that if the Old Man Star is hidden, or if it doesn't show up when expected,
That's bad.
it signaled war, chaos, the displacement of people.
Okay, that establishes the stakes perfectly. It's not just, oh, like a pretty star. It's a geopolitical barometer. If you see the star, you know you aren't going to die in a war that year.
Exactly. And that is the seed of the personification. Over centuries, people stopped just looking at the star as a signal of longevity and peace and started viewing it as the grantor of longevity.
Oh, okay.
The star literally becomes a being who controls whether you survive the winter.
So we go from that star means we're safe to that star is a person who keeps us safe.
Precisely. That's the process of personification. Over centuries, this star transforms into a deity in the Taoist system. And we need to talk about his rank, because this really surprised me when I was going through the research.
Yeah, this blew my mind. I assumed he was a folk hero, like a popular guy, but maybe not corporate management material in the heavens.
Quite the opposite. In the Taoist hierarchy, his official title is the Great Emperor of Long Life of the South Pole, or Nan Ji Xian Weng.
Great Emperor sounds pretty serious.
It is very serious. He resides in the Divine Jade Prefecture, but To give you a sense of the org chart here, he ranks just below the three pure ones.
And the three pure ones are?
They are the absolute top. The highest gods in the Taoist pantheon, representing the Tao itself. They are the board of directors for existence.
Right.
Nan Ji Xian Weng is part of the four sovereigns who rank immediately below them. So he is essentially in the C-suite of heaven. He isn't just hanging out. He is an executive officer.
So when we see that statue in a restaurant, we're looking at the VP of operations for human life.
In a way, yes. The sources say he manages the records of fate, blessings, and specifically the lifespan of humans. He's the one who checks the ledger to see when your time is up.
That puts that smiling face in a whole new light. He looks like a friendly grandpa, but he's holding the clipboard that determines if you make it to your next birthday.
It's a benevolent clipboard, usually. But yes, he holds the keys.
Speaking of the face, let's get into the visuals. We have this very specific brand image for him. The high forehead is the dead giveaway. Why does he look like that? Is it just a caricature?
It's a fascinating mix of symbolism. To modern eyes, it looks almost alien. But in traditional physiognomy, reading faces, a high, broad forehead represents immense wisdom and a massive accumulation of yang energy.
Yang energy being the life force.
Right. He is bursting with life energy. Think of it like a container that is overfilled. His cranium is literally expanding to hold all that vitality. And then you have the complexion. The sources describe him as having white hair and a ruddy face, often with a childlike joy.
He always looks like he's having a great time. He doesn't look haggard or tired.
That's the old man with a child's face motif. It represents the ultimate Taoist goal, returning to a state of pure, uncomplicated joy, even at a great age.
The cycle of life completing itself.
Exactly. He has the wisdom of the ancient, but the vitality of the young.
And what about the gear? He's always carrying stuff.
The accessories are crucial. He holds a staff, which is a symbol of support for the elderly, obviously, but he's also holding the immortal peach.
The peach. We see peaches everywhere in Chinese art.
The peach is the ultimate symbol of extending life. Now, in the West, a peach is a snack. In Chinese mythology, that peach is a battery.
A battery.
Concentrated time. We'll touch on this later with the peach garden, but basically, if you eat one of those, you aren't dying anytime soon. It powers you up.
And he's got his entourage, too, the animals.
The white deer and the white crane. Again, these aren't random choices. In Chinese folklore, both the deer and the crane are believed to live incredibly long lives. They are the companions of immortals. The crane connects to the sky and the deer connects to the earth. So by having both, Nan Ji Xian Weng shows he has dominion over longevity in both realms.
Okay, so we've established he's a heavy hitter in the theology, and his look is basically a billboard for living forever. But where this gets really fun for me is when he shows up in the stories.
The literature. This is where he stops being a static image and becomes a character.
Yes. Specifically, Feng Shenyanyi, or Investiture of the Gods. This is a classic fantasy novel from the Ming Dynasty. Basically, the Chinese equivalent of the Iliad or Odyssey, but with way more magic.
It's a massive epic, and Nan Ji Xian Weng's role in it is so telling of his character.
Right, because everyone else in this book is fighting. It's a war between dynasties involving gods and demons. People are throwing lightning bolts, transforming into monsters.
Zoological weapons.
Yeah.
It's chaotic.
It's totally chaotic. But Nan Ji Xian Weng, what is he doing?
He is the calm in the storm. He is the eldest disciple of Yuanshi Tianzun, who is one of those top-tier 3 pure ones we mentioned. Because he is the eldest, he has this seniority that commands respect. He rarely fights.
He's the guy who doesn't need to raise his voice.
Exactly. While the younger disciples, the warrior gods, are out there getting into trouble, Nan Ji Xian Weng is the one who steps in to do the cleanup.
Cleanup.
The sources describe his role as saving lives and handling the aftermath.
Can you give us an example?
There are moments where Jianxia, the main strategist and hero of the book, is in way over his head. Maybe he's been poisoned, or his soul has been trapped in a magical formation.
And the other warriors can't fix it.
Right, because you can't punch a curse.
So they call the expert.
Nan Ji Xian Weng descends. He doesn't come down to kill the bad guys. He comes down to heal Jianxia or to diplomatically resolve a situation that brute force couldn't fix.
It's like he's playing a different game than everyone else.
He is. He represents a higher philosophical understanding. The text notes that he understands that fate or doom cannot be forced. He doesn't try to break the universe. He flows with it.
He's the voice of reason amidst the slaughter.
That's it. I love that contrast. You have the warriors who represent force, and then you have the old man of the South Pole who represents Sustainability.
Sustainability is a great word for it. He ensures the continuity of the mission. If the
He also shows up in the legend of White Snake, which is another huge story.
Yes, and that one is interesting because it shows his power indirectly. The White Snake is a very powerful spirit. She breaks into the heavens to steal a magical herb to save her husband.
And she runs into Nan Ji Xian Weng.
She runs into his servant, the deer boy.
And the servant absolutely wipes the floor with her.
Wait, his intern beats the hero of the story?
Exactly. It serves to illustrate the power gap. If his servant can defeat a powerful demon spirit, imagine what the master could do.
Right.
It reinforces that his benevolence isn't weakness, it's restraint. He chooses to be kind, but he's incredibly powerful.
However, we have to talk about his HR department because they do have some issues, specifically in Journey to the West.
Us. The inevitable cameo. It seems like every high-ranking god in Journey to the West has a pet that escapes and tries to eat the protagonist.
It's a classic trope. My dog ate my homework, but my deer tried to eat a monk.
Essentially. In Journey to the West, Nan Ji Xian Weng's white deer steals his staff, escapes to Earth, poses as a king, and starts collecting human hearts. It's actually quite gruesome.
That is a PR nightmare for the god of longevity. And Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, is fighting this deer just as Monkey is about to deliver the final blow.
Nan Ji Xian Weng shows up. Hold on, that's my ride.
Does he get in trouble for this? I mean, his pet was terrorizing a kingdom.
In the context of the story, his arrival is the resolution. He subdues the deer instantly. And what's fascinating is that even the Monkey King, who is notoriously rebellious and disrespects almost everyone, he shows Nan Ji Xian Weng respect.
He bows to him.
He does. It reinforces that even when things go wrong, Nan Ji Xian Weng has the authority to set them right. He takes the deer back, restores order, and the journey continues.
The sources also mention something about a garden.
The Heavenly Peach Garden. This is a huge part of his portfolio.
Right. This seems like a key part of his power.
It's the ultimate scarcity economy. We mentioned the peach he holds. Well, legend says he manages the garden where these peaches grow. They ripen only once every 3,000 years. Some varieties take 9,000 years.
For 3,000 years, that is a slow supply chain.
Very slow. But the payout is immortality. The lore suggests that even other immortals, when their time is running out or they need a boost, need access to these peaches.
So he literally controls the resource that makes the gods gods.
Exactly. He controls the access to extended life. That is immense soft power. You do not want to be on his bad side when the harvest is ready.
Okay, so we have the high-ranking executive, the fixer of the gods, the keeper of the peaches. But I want to pivot to the human side. Because at the end of the day, people praying to him aren't worried about cosmic wars or magic deer. They're worried about their health or their parents' health.
That connects us to the folklore. There is a very specific story in the sources that I think captures the heart of who he is. It's the story of the benevolent dreamer.
Walk us through that.
The legend tells of an old man who was dying. He was on his deathbed, the doctors had given up, but this man had spent his entire life doing good deeds.
Okay.
He repaired roads for travelers, he helped the poor, he released captured animals. A genuinely good citizen.
A good guy, yes.
And as he's fading, Nan Ji Xian Weng appears in his dream. And he says something very simple. He doesn't give him a pill. He says, you have done good deeds, so you still have life left.
That's it. No magic potion.
No potion. Just a declaration. The man wakes up, his illness is gone, and he lives for decades more.
That feels different from the other stories. This isn't about eating a magical peach or knowing the right people. This is about merit.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that is the crucial takeaway for the listener. In the cultural logic of these stories, longevity isn't just random luck, and it's not just about genetics. It's tied to karma. Benevolence acts as a shield. The source material emphasizes that Nan Ji Xian Weng represents the idea that being a good person protects you.
So when people say that famous phrase, "Fu Dan Hai Shou Bi Nan Xian," good fortune as vast as the East Sea, longevity as high as the South Mountain, they aren't just wishing for a long timeline.
No. They're wishing for the quality of life that justifies that timeline. It's about Shodan longevity, but specifically a natural life, or Qian Nian.
Okay.
It implies health, peace of mind, and moral standing. You don't just want to live to be 100 in misery. You want to live to be 100 with a clear conscience and a smiling face, just like the statue.
It's interesting because today we have this obsession with biohacking, cold plunges, supplements, trying to trick our bodies into living forever. We treat aging like a technical problem to be solved.
Right, trying to hack the system.
But the legend of Nan Ji Xian Weng suggests the opposite approach. He's not hacking anything. He is the system, and the system rewards peace.
That is the through line. Think about it. If you look at his star, it only appears when the world is at peace. If you look at his character in the book, he appears to bring peace to chaos.
Right.
If you look at the folklore, he grants life to those who have inner peace.
It's all connected.
It is. The secret to longevity, according to this tradition, isn't fighting death. It's cultivating peace. Stress kills. Conflict kills. Benevolence and the calm that comes with it preserves.
That is a powerful thought. He is the old man of the South Pole because he represents the calm, steady, peaceful flow of the universe.
Exactly. You can't rush the stars. You just have to align with them.
So next time you're in that restaurant and you see the statue with the big forehead and the peach, you'll know he's not just there for decoration.
Oh.
He's a reminder.
A reminder to slow down, be kind, and look for the peace in your own life.
And maybe, just maybe, check if you can spot Canopus low on the horizon.
If the sky clears, you never know.
Thank you so much for guiding us through this. It's amazing how much depth is hiding in these cultural icons.
My pleasure. It's always worth digging deeper.
That's it for this deep dive into the old man of the South Pole. We'll see you next time with another stack of sources and another hidden story. Take care, everyone.